Alright, well, hello everyone, and welcome to Dimwits and Doppelgangers. Today I'm going to be covering mountains, hills, and volcanoes, so those should be really interesting. I had a comment that said they wanted to know how to draw mountains and volcanoes, and I was already planning to do mountains, but volcanoes really was a good idea, so I decided to include it in this video. Alright, what we are going to need for this video is a black pen of some kind, or whatever color you want, I guess. But I like to do my mountains in black and white. So, a black pen and a shading pen of some sort. Now, you don't actually need it. It's required or recommended. So these guys, we need a pen. We don't really need a shading pen. So, on with the video. First off, we're going to start with my 3 types of mountains. Now, for each mountain, I'm going to show you 2 ways to shade it. And then I'm going to show you a volcano type, wow, can't talk, for each mountain. So, first we're going to start with the simple mountains. You're just going to make little triangles and kind of overlap them. And make the mountains, I usually make the mountains towards the center of the range a little bigger, and then towards the edge of the range a bit smaller. And just kind of go until I've filled the area that I've set up as my mountain range zone. And just kind of fill it to however you want. Don't clutter them too much, but just make it a nice, simple shape. It looks pretty good like this. I enjoy it. I like it. So, now there are 2 ways we can shade these mountains. My personal, well, I'll just go over them and not be biased. One way to do it is to take your shading pen, all right, and just kind of run it along one side, whichever side you choose to be the side the sun is facing. I don't know, I always do it on the right side of the mountains, so it looks like the sun is kind of towards the west, so it's more towards the later in the day or setting. You can choose it whenever, but I just think to my eye, that is my favorite. So, or to the eye, that direction is my favorite. Now, the other style is to take your pen and to go onto the mountains and kind of just make this little line shape like that. So just a row, like a hatching like that, okay? And you just do that for all of your mountains. And don't do it too thick or too dark, because then it looks like that and it kind of doesn't fit with the rest of it. And then with these, you don't have to make them a perfect even row for the hatching. You could make your hatching look something like something more like that, you know, a little more natural, like a valley is in that mountain, or a dip or depression of some kind. Then we're going to go for a volcano of this mountain type. So I'm just going to draw a little range of mountains and one mountain that kind of stands up above the rest of them. Because, I don't know, whenever I draw a volcano, I like to make it look bigger and more impressive than the rest of the mountains in the range. Okay, so we have our main mountain shape, and then draw kind of a jagged opening to it right there. But if you want it to be an inactive volcano, I guess you can finish the top and then shade the inside. But we're making one with some smoke coming out the top. So what you want to do is make kind of a flowy sort of cloud-like thing with some offshoots, and then narrow near the base like that. Okay, and then off a couple of these offshoots, just draw little kind of cloud-like round lumps, just to make it look like it's a little bit, you know, cloudy and flowish. Is that a word? It is now. Okay, and don't go too overboard with it, otherwise it doesn't look very natural. I kind of think that part I did a little too mushed, but I will draw this more with the other mountains. And then what you'll do is you'll go along and shade. And then once you've done that, you'll move on to the smoke and do a very thin kind of a hatching along the bottom edge. And some of the upper kind of cloud things going up. And not too thick, because then it just kind of, it looks darker than the mountain, which should not be the case. So kind of like that. Just shade the bottom part and it looks fairly realistic. It's a very good volcano representation for a fantasy map. The next type of volcano or mountain range is the jagged mountains. And with those look fairly realistic, I think, compared to the other more simple mountain range. They take a little longer to do, especially if you're doing a very large mountain map. They make each mountain look slightly different than the last one. Okay, so we have our jagged mountain range, and with that you're going to shade it the same way we did the last shading, following those slopes. And I like to connect those ones when it kind of curves around like that, if it's not too big of a jump for it. Okay, and then the rest I'm going to do with hatching, just to kind of show you guys a little contrast between the two types. And there you have it, the slightly more realistic, jagged looking mountain range. And so now for volcano, we're gonna make this guy fairly large and impressive looking. Okay, so there's our jaggedness volcano. And we're gonna do the same kind of flowing, cloudy look as the last one. Okay, there you go. And the same cloudy, lumped appearance. All right, there you have it. And we're gonna shade this one with a little bit of hatching as well. Okay, and I'm not gonna shade the mountains because it just takes too much time and I don't have a million years to make a video. What you can also do with the smoke, and I'll show you that on the next mountain range, is use the shading pen and make it a little less hatched and more smooth looking. So I'll show you that on the next one, which I like to call the Ridgeline style. So for Ridgeline, what you're gonna start with is just kind of a jagged, rounded ridgeline, and you can make some offshoots if you want to, but I'm just going to stick with the main one, all right? And from each of these prominent points, make a line coming off it as the mountain, and make sure most of your lines are fairly even and at the similar angle to the rest of your lines. You can make some lines bigger than others, you know, more like a large mountain versus a small mountain, but try and maintain a similar angle through your mountain range. And then as you get to the end, the peak size and angle should change a little bit to get smaller to appear more like the end of the mountain range. All right, so kind of looking a bit like that. Then what you're gonna do is to shade it, you can shade the sides of the mountain with hatching like this on one side, just kind of going, I like to go up from the side and then kind of just random filling down and not too heavy, kind of looking like that. Or you can also do it with your shading pen by just kind of sticking up along the edge of the ridgeline and these drop down sides of each peak. And then with that, you can also do a small little array on each of these downward ones on this side, just a little thing to show that that's the more southern edge of the peak. I wouldn't go too crazy on the other side, otherwise it kind of looks like both sides of your mountain are shaded, and that's not a real thing. So there you have that. And now we're going to do the volcano for this style. So you're going to draw your mountain range similar to how you did, and then make this one go like that, and then break it, and continue on like this. Then finish or work on your slopes going to the volcano. And then you're going to make your volcano opening right there, and make the smoke of the volcano going kind of out like this. So it looks a little bit like a volcano there. Okay, sorry, I had to pause for a moment. And now you're going to take your, well, first you got to finish off these little smoke or cloud-like edges here. Again, don't get too crazy with them. Kind of like that. And now you're going to take your brush pen and just kind of outline these edges of this side of the smoke. Kind of like that. It makes a fairly nice looking smoke. I think it's a little more clean looking than this, but again, it's smoke, not clouds, so it does have some ash and debris in it, making it a little dirtier. So our last two items are going to be hills. So we're going to cover two types of hills. One kind of like Great Plains grassy hills, just smooth, rounded slopes, and then dunes for large sand areas. So sand dunes. So first for the grassy hills, what you're going to do is make a fairly low, wide, swooping hill. And then a few more, just kind of interspersed within your landscape. Some can be smaller, some can be larger, just however you want to do it, but not as tightly packed as the mountains either. Not like up here with these guys, more smooth and wide. And then you can, again, hatch them going down using your pen. Which I think looks better on mountains than it does on hills. Whereas the brush pen just kind of smoothly, more thin at the top, wide at the middle, and thin at the base again. I kind of like the look of that a little bit better. It looks more smooth, less rough cut and mountain-like. And then the final one is the sand dunes. So you'll make a curving line kind of going up like this, if you can see that, and then another one kind of more S-shaped, kind of like that or even like that. Just slightly less straight up curve than that one. And you're going to continue with a few more of these. And that one is too sheer. Again, we all make mistakes. And then from these, you're going to create a little kind of wave coming down to show the ridge of the sand dune. And my dog is freaking out in the next room. Oh well. And now you're going to take the hatching along each sand dune and just kind of figure out where you like it. And I will show you with brush pen as well. But I usually don't fill in the whole thing with hatching, just a portion of it along those two edges. And with brush pen, kind of do the same thing. Just go down both sides a little ways and make a nice sand dune. And with sand, I like to add a couple of lines and dots just to show, I don't know, I think it looks kind of deserty, just barren and gritty looking, you know, like there's not much soil or smooth here. It's all sand, which is smooth, but it's not as words. I don't know. It's more coarse than dirt. So this is our video on mountains and volcanoes and hills. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. It's really good to get support and grow my channel. The more support I get, the more videos I can make. Share these videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.